If you ever thought Americans only moved when they retired, got married, or wanted to live near their grandchildren, think again. In 2025, they moved for a much simpler reason. They could no longer live where they were. Just try driving on any major freeway. You'll see a scene that's both funny and worrying. Convoys of U-Hauls fleeing the states as if someone just flipped the evacuate switch. But no, there was no storm at all. Only the storm of rising housing costs, taxes, crime, and the feeling that their state has changed too much, and not in a good way. What makes this even more remarkable is that it's not a few hundred, but hundreds of thousands of people leaving each year. And no, they didn't run away randomly. They left exactly 10 states, places that are losing population at a record pace, so fast that statisticians had to double-check the data tables. So, what's happening to America? What is causing the entire middle class to pack up their life's memories and hit the road? In this video, we'll delve into the 10 fastest leaving American states and uncover the real reasons. The ones the media sometimes doesn't mention, but which people clearly feel. Let's get started. Do you know what kind of state Pennsylvania is? A place where every street corner bears the mark of history, but bills don't need history to increase in price. According to multiple reports, in 2024, the state lost over 40,000 residents, enough to fill a baseball stadium. And they didn't go because they liked the sun or the sea. They left because it was too difficult to stay. First thing, the young leave, the old stay. Imagine a town with 10 houses, 4 of which have for sale signs, 3 of which only have lights on during weekends when the grandchildren visit, and the remaining 3 are inhabited more by cats than people. That's present-day Pennsylvania. The population is aging so rapidly that many towns resemble free open-air museums. Lot of history, very few actual residents. The old industrial economic system, steel, coal and machinery once supported an entire generation. But times change. The factories disappeared like steam on a winter morning. Many experts say that Pennsylvania doesn't lack workers, but it lacks jobs for them to do. A short but painful sentence. Infrastructure decay. Sounds fancy, but it means cracked roads, deteriorating bridges, and repair projects that are like a broken record, unfinished for 20 years. Local taxes are still high, but schools, hospitals, and public services haven't improved. People feel like they're paying for an old car that everyone promised would run great. But every time they start the engine, they hear a clattering sound. What about house prices? Not too expensive. But income hasn't kept pace with the rising prices of milk, electricity, and gasoline. You know that insightful joke people often tell, don't you? Pennsylvania has a rich history, but the bills are even richer. A sentence that's both funny and truly sad. The consequence is, middle-class families cannot settle down. They move to states with sunshine, jobs, and lighter bills. North Carolina, Ohio, Texas. Left behind are lifeless daytime towns, closed cafes, markets with only a few stalls, and more wind than people. But perhaps the saddest thing is the feeling of an invisible loss. The elderly standing and watching the house at the end of the street turn off its lights, then the second, then the third, as if watching an old photo album gradually disappear. The question is Pennsylvania declining because of the economy, or because America is changing faster than states like this can adapt? What do you think? Regardless, Pennsylvania wasn't the worst fall yet. The next round was even more famous, and the shock was even greater. Let's see. Leaving Pennsylvania, we head straight to a place that seems completely opposite. Washington. A state that on the surface appears modern, wealthy, clean, and full of career opportunities. Where the name Seattle once made, many people think of coffee, tech, and American dreams version 4.0. But then you look closer, and the story isn't as simple as that glamorous exterior suggests. Washington is a living paradox. Rich due to technology, but the people are getting poorer because of the cost of living. It's a kind of irony, like seeing hundreds of billions of dollars pass before your eyes. But when you open your wallet, you only find increasing bills. A family who lived in Seattle for 20 years said their rent increased by 40% just after the pandemic. After 20 years of being rooted, he was finally kicked out onto the street by the very key to the house he rented. Seattle's housing prices are now among the top 10 most expensive in the country. You probably think, oh, it's probably because they're too rich. But if a regular suburban house costs the same as a penthouse in other states, that's no longer wealth. It's overpriced to the bone. What few people talk about: tech wage inflation. As Amazon and Microsoft engineers earn six-figure salaries, the prices of everything from a loaf of bread to a haircut are driven up accordingly. It's not their fault. It's just a consequence of an ecosystem skewed toward one income group. But what about middle-income earners? They were crushed between the wheels of the live price spiral. It's like a duel where one side has a sword and the other has a wooden spoon. Then there's the story of soft crime, not things that cause extreme fear, but enough to make older people feel uneasy when it gets dark. Shops closed early, bus stops were deserted, and neighborhoods that were once bustling now had a touch of tired chaos. The result? Middle-class meltdown. The middle class, the backbone of the state, could no longer hold on. They moved to Idaho and Utah, places with few streetlights but plenty of peace. And the witty saying that people in Washington often repeat, this state doesn't collect income tax, but don't celebrate, because everything else is taxed to hit your wallet. It sounds both funny and chillingly accurate. Washington isn't bad. It's just that it's changing too fast, and the cost of living is climbing as high as the snow-capped mountains in the Cascades. Beautiful, but incredibly difficult to climb. Is this the price of modernity, or a warning for places that are too reliant on big tech? Regardless, Washington is still not a place where people can escape. Because the next state, where even a single garage costs as much as an entire house, is what truly made the whole country tip its hat. Massachusetts, a state with its own mountain peaks, but it's named for the cost of living. And trust me, this mountain has no snow, just bills. Massachusetts is the kind of state you know the moment you step off the plane at Boston Logan. Oh, intelligence is high here, but rent is even higher. According to many reports, Boston is among the top 4 most expensive cities in the United States. Many people joke that living in Boston is like earning a PhD in financial survival. It sounds funny, but in reality, it's not at all enjoyable. Just look at the migration situation to understand. It's not just unskilled workers leaving. Even educated people like professors, medical engineers, researchers, etc. are packing up and moving to cheaper states. Specifically, graduates from Harvard, MIT, and Boston University, the majority of whom do not return or are unable to stay. They left as soon as they realized their starting salary was only enough to pay rent for a small apartment, which was about the size of their old dorm room. There are 2 reasons that few people state directly. First, Massachusetts healthcare costs are among the highest in the country. A single doctor's visit can keep a retiree thinking for a whole week. Second, historical heritage makes land extremely scarce. Houses cannot be expanded. The population continues to grow, and prices are escalating without end. A house the size of a garage in other states here costs enough to make you consider moving states. The impact is clear. Older people can't stay because property taxes consistently increase by 5 to 7% each year. Young families can't buy a house because prices have far exceeded the average income. And the middle class? They're like a rubber band stretched too far. Either they have to move or they'll snap. There's a deep irony that people in Massachusetts often whisper to each other. the state of Harvard and MIT. But the price of living exceeded even Einstein's imagination. After laughing, everyone sighed again. Meanwhile, picturesque historic neighborhoods have become places only the very wealthy can afford to live. Those who once built communities are gradually disappearing from the map of daily life. What do you think? Is Massachusetts developing, or is it becoming a place only for the elite? But no matter how expensive it is, Massachusetts is still not a place where people have to count every breath. The next segment will show you there are places where just existing is expensive. Don't take your eyes off it. If Massachusetts makes people choke on bills, Louisiana makes them choke. Literally. A beautiful state, really. Music, food, culture. There's no place like New Orleans. But you know, it's beautiful, but the water rises faster than the grain. According to numerous reports, Louisiana lost over 30,000 residents in just 2 years. That number is enough to fill every seat in the 10 largest jazz theaters in New Orleans. And if you want to know why, just look down at your feet. The water has reached the first step of the porch. This is the state where new normal means a major storm every year, and repairing homes after storms is almost a habit. Many people say, "I love jazz, but I can't love the bill for repairing the roof after the storm." A sentence that sounds funny, but is actually the sigh of the middle class. The deeper issue is that the dike system and flood control infrastructure were designed for a different time. Now the climate is changing. Sea levels are rising as fast as an electricity bill, while the infrastructure remains slow and steady in the old-fashioned way. People feel like they're living in an uneven match between their wallets and the weather. Adding to this are the less openly discussed issues: below average education and healthcare, limited economic opportunities outside of a few traditional industries, and a sense of insecurity about public safety, especially in tourist-heavy areas. The middle-class family, the backbone of any state, cannot forever gamble their children's future in a place where there is a risk of evacuation every year. So they left. In Texas, in Florida, in places where they don't have to calculate whether to spend money on a vacation this year or fix the roof for the third time. But the most notable thing is the emotion. Louisiana left many people with a sense of regret. A beautiful, culturally rich state, but gradually overtaken by nature and with an economy not strong enough to resist. So, in the end, did Louisiana lose population because of the climate, or because the system couldn't keep up with the climate? That's the real question. But at least Louisiana is lucky that they have a natural reason to justify it. The next round won't be. That country lost its people not because of the storm, but because of policy. Come to New Jersey. Leaving Louisiana, we arrive in New Jersey, where the worry doesn't come from nature, but from the tax bill. Here, the water doesn't rise, but taxes rise steadily every year, without missing a beat. New Jersey has beautiful beaches, delicious pizza, a large population, and convenient transportation. But you know, there are many advantages. It's just a pity that the tax bill is waiting at the door every morning like a cat begging for food. To be fair, according to many statistical sources, New Jersey has the highest property taxes in the United States. It's so high that many people joke, but it's true. Here, owning a $500,000 house means you have to pay $12,000, $15,000 per year, just for the privilege of living in your own home. You hear that and think it's a funny story? Nowhere. That's precisely why a large number of retirees are spontaneously migrating to Florida or Pennsylvania. They didn't want to leave, but their wallets forced them to. Everyone asks, why are taxes so high? The answer lies in the things that are rarely stated directly. 1. The state's public pension fund has been in deficit for decades. Want to make up for it? Taxes must be increased. High. Public spending increases over time. The more bureaucracy, the more costs, and ultimately, the people still pay. As for the consequences, they don't need much explanation. People with fixed incomes seem to have their wallets drained by tax bills. The property was sold off when the homeowner reached retirement age. The community, once stable, is now disrupted by the mass exodus of people. The saddest thing? New Jersey isn't a bad place. Conversely, it was once the suburban dream of many American families in the last century. But that dream is now like an old coat, still beautiful, but no longer affordable for most. And here's the gentle but chillingly accurate irony. New Jersey, where the beaches are beautiful, the pizza is delicious, and the taxes will bite your wallet hard. A wealthy and populous state like New Jersey, can it return to its golden age when people are leaving faster than roads are being repaired? But you know what? High taxes in New Jersey are still just the warm-up. The next round, we lost people for even more reasons, from financial to safety. Come to Illinois. Illinois, a once powerful, confident state, the transportation hub of the nation. But now, it's like a big train station where people only stop to then continue on their way. According to multiple reports, over 60,000 people left Illinois in 2024. 60,000. Enough to fill an entire small city. And Chicago, often called the heart of the Midwest, now resembles a transit hub, where more people pass through than stay. People tell each other a joke that sounds light but is touching. Chicago is really windy, but the bills are even windier. This half-joking, half-serious saying sums up all the issues. In reality, Illinois has it all: culture, diversity, opportunity. But the invisible burden lies behind it. First, we must mention the debt-ridden financial system that has persisted for over 20 years. Accumulating debts and old obligations forced the state to raise taxes, cut services, and resort to all sorts of measures. But the more they spun, the more tired the people became. Next is the business-unfriendly tax policy. Many companies, especially small businesses, feel like they're running a marathon, with 3 sandbags tied to their backs. When businesses leave, jobs go with them. And we haven't even mentioned the cost of living in Chicago. Rent, electricity bills, this fee and that fee, all added up, making a young family feel like they're working not to live, but to pay for the privilege of living in the city. Plus, there's the safety aspect. Not every place is dangerous, but a sense of unease creeps into every conversation, every decision. If you find yourself looking around before entering a convenience store at night, that's a bad sign. Consequences? The middle class leaves first. Then there are young families. They ran to Indiana, where house prices are half as much, or Texas, where opportunities and taxes are lighter. Is Illinois declining because of economic stagnation, or because people are no longer patient enough to wait for the state to change? But either way, Illinois hasn't seen the biggest exodus yet, because the next state, New York, is experiencing an even stronger wave of departures than Chicago. Leaving Illinois, we fly directly to what was once considered the greatest dream in America, New York. But every dream has its price, and here the price is higher than the lights of Times Square. You can love New York for its vibrancy, its diversity, and the feeling that anything can happen here. But then you look at the rent bill and realize the only thing that can happen is you have to leave. According to numerous reports, New York has lost over 100,000 residents annually since the pandemic. That's enough to fill an entire small district. Rent? It's been a long time since it was open to the public. An apartment in Florida the size of a living room costs as much as a whole house in North Carolina. It's no wonder young people are leaving the city as if they're running a marathon. But the reason isn't just about house prices. Land prices are rising, business costs are increasing, planning is complex, and more importantly, the sense of security has changed. It's not that New York is more worried than ever, but that feeling of unease creeps in very quickly. People who have lived here their whole lives, 30, 40 years of attachment, now have to watch their neighborhood change too quickly. The small shop closed, the familiar shop owner left, and friends moved states. The entire community is like an old photo album whose pages are turned each month. Many people joke that New York is the city that never sleeps, because people have to stay up all night to calculate next month's expenses. Is New York really moving forward, or is it leaving its own residents behind? But New York still has a place to compete with: California. If New York is expensive, then in California, the cost of living is not only high, but also knows how to make you cry the moment you receive the bill. Let's head to the West Coast to see how the biggest escape ever is unfolding. If New York gives people a headache with its cost of living, California makes people feel the pinch in their wallets. And it's the kind of pain where you open the bill and immediately want to close it to avoid burning a hole in your pocket. According to multiple reports, over 340,000 people have left California in just 3 years, a number sufficient to create a new city in any other state. A family in Los Angeles once said they left after receiving a quote for the house they wanted to buy. Housing prices in California are among the highest in the United States, so much so that even well-paid individuals can't afford to dream of owning a home. Speaking of the reason, it's not just because it's expensive. Expensive is the result, not the root cause. The root cause lies in restrictive land policies, which consistently lead to a shortage of housing supply. When land is not allowed to expand and the population is growing steadily, prices can only go one way: up. Adding to that are high taxes, energy costs, and business expenses, all of which weigh down the middle class like a heavy backpack. Many areas that were once ideal living spaces are now only in memory. What about small businesses? They left because they couldn't afford the operating costs. You can't open a small shop when the monthly rent is the price of a brand new car. Californians often joke and then sigh after laughing. The weather here is always beautiful, to the point where you have to pay to see the sunrise. A saying that sounds cheerful, but it's the bitterness of an entire community. So, is California developing too quickly, or has the cost of living exceeded its true value? Regardless of the answer, California is not a state that had a glorious past and then stagnated. The next state is truly a symbol of decline from its peak: Michigan. Let's see what's happening in the former capital of American industry. If California is the story of a paradise too expensive to live in, then Michigan is the story of a legend past its prime. But now, that heartbeat is weakening and people are leaving, not a few hundred, but tens of thousands each year. Detroit is the clearest example. According to numerous reports, this city has lost population for 70 consecutive years. Think about it. 7 decades have passed, and the population has steadily decreased like a clock hand moving backward. You drive through empty streets, seeing abandoned factories and empty parking lots. It feels like looking through an old photo album that's slowly fading. The general phenomenon in Michigan is this: young people leave first, families follow. No one wants to be stuck in an economy that is too dependent on the automotive industry, an industry besieged by global competition. Production is moving elsewhere, jobs are decreasing, and income is unstable. Michigan is also unlucky with the weather. Long, deep winters and the annual cost of heating force many families to carefully weigh their options. And when income doesn't increase, but bills do, the choice to leave becomes more understandable. Housing prices here are cheap, much cheaper than the US average. But cheap is no longer an advantage. if you're not sure you'll have a stable job next year. Many experts believe that Michigan doesn't lack housing, but it does lack a sense of future security. What do you think? Will Michigan revive itself as it has done in the past, or will it continue to spiral into a population decline? Regardless of the answer, Michigan is not yet the state with the fastest population decline. Topping this list is a place that was once a dream, but is now a warning. Hawaii has blue seas, coconut palms, and golden sunsets as sweet as honey. But you know, no one can live on scenery alone. People live on money. And in Hawaii, money flies faster than the sea breeze. According to many statistics, Hawaii has the highest cost of living in the United States. It's not just a little high, it's so high that a basic basket of groceries costs as much as a restaurant meal in other states. Everything has to be transported from the mainland, so the price increases with each nautical mile. You buy an egg carton and it feels like you're buying a luxury item. And the problem doesn't stop there. Lack of quality jobs, that's the real blow. Tourism is the largest industry, but jobs in this sector are seasonal and income is not high. The technology, manufacturing, or stable industries are almost non-existent. And on top of that, there's the price of housing. A small, old house, sometimes only the size of a garage elsewhere, but priced higher than the combined average income of many years. Young people looking at the Hawaiian real estate market feel like they're watching the price of spaceships. The indigenous people, those who have lived here for generations, were the first to leave. They moved to Nevada, Texas, and Oregon. It's not because I like leaving my hometown, but because staying wouldn't allow me to build a future. The most painful thing isn't who leaves, but the feeling that they don't want to go. But the cost of living has made the choice mandatory. A paradise so beautiful it hurts, yet it's losing the very people who define its identity. And those are the 10 states where Americans are leaving faster than ever. Each place has a different story, a different worry, a different reason, from taxes, house prices, and climate to very human feelings, insecurity, fatigue, and a lack of hope for the future. We see one thing clearly. Migration is not just moving house. It's an emotional map of the American middle class. People who are choosing where to live, not just with their hearts, but also based on affordability and family safety. Now I want to hear from you. If you could choose again, would you leave the state you currently live in? In your opinion, what is the real reason behind this wave of migration? Please share your thoughts below. Every perspective is valuable. If you like this kind of straightforward, practical, and no-nonsense analysis, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. This video is based on general reporting and observations, not intended to attack any specific individual, party, or group. All analyses are for reference only and encourage viewers to self-assess and compare them with their own reality. Thank you for staying until the end. See you in the next video.